To answer the job interview question, why did you leave your last job? You need to keep it short and simple. And that's because the more you spend on this interview question, the less you spend talking about the things that make you a great hire. So it's not really a productive use of your time. So you want to get this over with as soon as possible. Some applicants answer this question by consciously or unconsciously bad mouthing their previous employer. Here's an example. I left my previous job because the workplace was so toxic. My TL don't take soup calls, and our QA was extremely unreasonable with the metrics. Let's say that what the applicant was saying about his employer is true. Well, it doesn't really make any difference. And that's because interviewers are hired to be skeptical about the applicants. That's it. That's just how it works. So by default, your interviewer is going to take the side of your previous employer, not your side. So in this case, just avoid bad mouthing your previous employer, even if they really suck. Your interviewer is likely going to assume that you are bad mouthing them and you're gonna do the same thing to them someday. Another mistake that applicants make is lying about verifiable information. Some companies do background checks and some don't. But if you really want to be on the safe side of things, just avoid lying because that is going to bite you in the ass someday. Maybe you will still be accepted, but there is a possibility that your employer is going to do a background check later. So it's better if they find out about that unpleasant truth from you and not from a different source. If your reason for leaving your last job is an innocent one, then this is not something you should worry about. An example of this is if you have to relocate from one place to another, relocation. So in that case, your interviewer cannot really hold it against you. So you don't have a problem here. If you were laid off, again, this is not something that you should worry about because this is not under your control. Here's an example. Our company lost a major client, which led them to cut cost. Because their policy was last in, first out, I was one of the 50 employees who were let go. My team lead, however, can attest to my performance when I was still working for them. There are two things that I like about this answer. The first one is the applicant did not badmouth his previous company. He could have said that the management was incompetent and they made really bad decisions when it comes to investing, but he did not say that. He just said that he was laid off and that he was one of the 50 people. The second one is the applicant brought the subject back to the topic of how he's going to be a great hire to the company. He stated in the last sentence that his TL can attest to his performance. If you had health problems and you are now fit to work, then there really is no reason for you to lie. As long as you can provide the necessary documentation to prove that you are now fit to work, then you're good. Here's a sample answer. I quit my last job because I had to recover from a stomach ulcer. My doctor recommended that I take a 6-month break. That break helped me with my recovery, and now I'm ready to go back to work. I can also provide the necessary documentation from my doctor if necessary. Maybe you want a higher salary, or maybe you just want better opportunities and promotion. So in this case, is it okay to tell your interviewer that you are applying to his company because they offer a higher compensation? As a general rule, I don't recommend that you tell your interviewer upfront that your main reason for applying to their company and leaving your last job is the higher salary, even if they probably already know that. And that's because it's too honest and it might be a little inappropriate for some interviewers. It's like one of those moments when you don't go to work because you were drunk. The next day you go back to work and your TL asks you, "Where have you been while you were absent?" And you answered too honestly and you said, "Because I was drunk." I think there is a little bit of a better way to answer that, and that is to highlight the things that the current company has that your previous company doesn't, and then make that as your reason for leaving your last job. Of course, that's except the higher salary. Here's an example. For the record, I love my previous job as an e-commerce chat support, but I really feel the need to diversify my skills and work for a financial account this time. That opportunity just doesn't exist in ABC company where I used to work since they only have e-commerce and telco accounts. What I like about this answer is the employee again is not bad mouthing the previous company. He just stated a fact that there was no financial account in his previous company and he wants to diversify his skills. He was just stating a fact, but he was not bad mouthing the company. Of course, it goes without saying that interviewers already know that one of the main reasons for leaving the last job is the higher salary. It's common knowledge. Some of them might accept your answer, but some of them might even press you and ask more follow-up questions. And they will corner you and they will ask you whether or not one of your main reasons for leaving your last job was the lower salary. And if you're applying to his company because you wanted the higher salary. And this is what I recommend that you answer. Well, compensation is also important to me. It reflects the value I deliver to the company and my customers. I'm less focused on that though. It'll always follow as long as I keep my skill set sharp and in demand, which to me is the most important thing. What I like about this answer is the applicant acknowledged the importance of money, but he didn't sound really money hungry. He stated it in a more professional tone. He did not deny that money isn't important to him because, well, money is important. But at the same time, he was not saying it in a way that he's really just applying to the new company because he just wanted the money. If you were fired due to personal reasons, here is a sample answer. I was let go. Basically, what happened was I had a problem at home and I got depressed. It affected my performance, where I used to receive a performance bonus every month for 3 straight years. I became one of the poor performing agents. Eventually, my TL noticed it. She did her job, talked to me about it, and even suggested ways on how to deal with it. I felt better for a while, but because I wasn't really addressing the root cause, it didn't go away for good. Eventually, I was let go, all because I was in denial about the problem. I let my personal problem affect my professional life, and needless to say, I only have myself to blame. It was a great wake-up call though. One thing I learned from that experience was when it comes to a problem, it doesn't pay to be in denial and pretend it doesn't exist. I need to be brutally honest with myself because that's the only way that I could deal to the root cause and deal with it objectively. There are 3 things that I like about this answer. The first one is the applicant talked about the time, the 3 straight years when he was receiving performance bonus every month. So that shows that the applicant wasn't really always a poor performer. It means that there was a time in his career, in his last company, where he was doing great until the problem happened. The second one is he acknowledged that his team lead did everything she could to help him. He didn't blame anyone from the company about his problem. And the third one is he highlighted the lesson that he learned from the experience. So even if he made a mistake, it was not altogether a bad thing because he learned something from it. If your personal problem involves some drama, like a cheating spouse, a cheating boyfriend and girlfriend, try to be vague about it. Don't say it up front. As you can see in the sample answer, there wasn't really anything specific about the personal problem there. He just said that there was a problem at home, but he didn't specifically say what it was. Some personal problems could be too personal, too intimate for the interviewer to hear it. But of course, if your interviewer asks specifically what happened, what your problem was, then that is a time that you talk about it. If you can, try to be vague about it. Of course, if one of your reasons for leaving the job was because there was a death in the family or one of the family member is having health issues, then it's okay to talk about it. Remember that at the start of this video, I told you to keep your answer simple and short? Well, this might not apply in this case if the reason for leaving your job was because you were fired, because the interviewer is going to ask you a lot of questions. She's going to turn you upside down to know more about why you left your job. So in this case, be prepared for that. In the hardest scenario, if you were fired because you went AWOL or you were performing poorly. I know that there's a lot of you out there who quit your job on impulse. You quit your job, you went AWOL, you just couldn't be bothered to send a resignation letter and to work for 30 more days. So you went AWOL. But then, after a few months, you realize that you're running out of money and you need to go back to work again. And you only have the call center as your only option. But then, you now have an AWOL record. If the current company is going to do a background check on you, they are going to find out that you left your last job because of your own doing. Now again, do not lie about the reason why you were fired. But of course, you have to add something. Tell your interviewer that it was because of a personal problem. Don't say that it was your previous company's fault. It will sound like you are victimizing yourself. Another thing, you cannot say that it was because you were so stressed out. Because after all, this is the call center industry. If you were stressed out and you couldn't meet the demand of the job, then what are you doing here? The only remaining option here is to make your interviewer believe that there was a force behind your poor performance, behind your impulse to go AWOL. This way, you will at least have a little chance of getting hired. Here is a sample answer. There is no better way to say this. I was let go because I went AWOL. This is one of the greatest regrets of my career life. I'm not usually someone who acts impulsively, but I was in a really dark place at that point in my life and I wasn't able to think objectively. I spent 3 years dealing with irate customers over the phone and I was great at it. Yet there I was with that one problem and I let it get the best of me. It was a wake-up call for me though. I'm now in the process of getting better at dealing with my problems, and I also surround myself with loving friends as my support system. My goal now is to be able to deal with my personal problems without affecting my professional life. The good thing about citing personal problem as your reason for going AWOL is your interviewer, the current company, cannot really do a background check about your personal problem. Nobody really knows what is happening within the four corners of your home. So you can tell them that you had a personal problem and then cite that personal problem as your reason for leaving your last job. So in this way, you can at least give what might be called a valid reason for going AWOL instead of saying, oh, I'm just lazy and I get really stressed. So if you see no other way to justify your bad decision, then a little lie will probably help you here. Of course, you have to take into consideration that recruiters are also trained to detect lies. A lot of them have background in psychology, so be prepared for that fact and make sure that you get your story straight. Because the only option that I see here is by applying to a company that doesn't do a background check. If you're planning to apply to a financial account, then there is a high chance that they're going to do a background check on you and they will find out about it. You just have to know and ask around which company do a background check. Whether you invent a personal problem or lie about the fact that you went AWOL, which is traceable, you choose. Choose your poison. So to all of you out there who haven't gone AWOL, never ever do it. I will be honest though, if you were fired, then there is a chance that the company is going to reject you, mainly because you went AWOL. You know, some companies have certain standards that forbid recruiters to hire people who went AWOL. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that no company will ever hire you again. Because there will always be companies who will hire you even if you went AWOL, especially if they need the manpower. But know, of course, that this is not a magic answer that your interviewer will just magically decide to give you a second chance, even if the company doesn't allow it. There will always be companies who will want to give you a second chance, but be prepared for the ones who won't. All right, guys, that's all for today. You might think that it is unethical for me to tell you to lie to your interviewer, but my loyalty lies to you, not to your interviewer, not to your call center company. So there you go. That is all for today, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or video requests, comment down below, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.